Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I'm here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we've got more Rise of Skywalker news because of course we do.
Yes, because that's all we do apparently.
That is all we do. Day in, day out, Rise of Skywalker, that is it. That's even though Clownfish TV was around years before.
Yeah, but we have been doing a lot
Rise of Skywalker. Well,
anyway,
it's coming out. It's coming out in a couple of weeks. There's all kinds of news because all the blogs are talking about it. And now the Rise of Skywalker could potentially give you a seizure.
Yeah, now this is important to mention. So Disney has issued a warning to theaters that because of a spoiler, flashing light sequences, so it sounds like multiple sequences.
Yeah.
It could cause seizures to people who are sensitive to that, or if you're photosensitive, it can cause you migraines and things like that.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about that on this episode, and we actually have a reason for it. So before we get into that, please subscribe if you guys have not subscribed already.
Thank you so much if you have.
Yeah, we're at 80,000 subs, almost to 100,000. Thank you for that. Now, we could say jokingly, hey, Star Wars is going to send you into a seizure. Ha ha ha.
This is not a joke.
It's really not a joke because...
Well, seizures run in my family. Epilepsy runs in my family. My siblings all had epilepsy when we were children. Now, we luckily had a kind that we outgrew. But there's nothing saying that it couldn't be triggered again as adults. And in my family, my grandmother, my aunt, and so on, they all had epilepsy. So it's not a laughing matter at all. And it is a real concern for something like this. It's a very small percentage of epilepsy people that could have problems. Like 3% of people with epilepsy could have this issue. But this also can trigger migraines. And I can tell you for a fact that flashing lights do trigger migraines because I ended up in the emergency room thinking I was having a stroke when I was in college because I was in 2 back-to-back long art history classes, and the slides would send me into severe migraines and I would have stroke symptoms. So this is an actual real concern.
Yeah.
If you're a person that's sensitive to this, keep this in mind. I think this is important to mention. I will give Disney props for putting this warning out there because they weren't this smart before.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. We're going to read a little bit here about this. Then we'll talk about some past instances with this. Obviously, there was the great Pokémon debacle of the 90s that was sending kids into seizures, and also Incredibles 2 just a year or two ago with Incredibles 2.
Now, there wasn't any seizures to Incredibles 2. It's just that people were like, oh my God, why isn't there a seizure warning for this? Our son, Squid King, was like a couple years younger at the time, and he's like, why don't they have a seizure warning on this? You know, he was the one who brought it up.
Yeah, so according to Hollywood Reporter, I'll use your article here. According to Hollywood Reporter, it said it only happens to 3% of people. Exposure to flashing lights at certain intensities or with certain visual patterns can trigger seizures. The condition is known as photosensitive epilepsy.
Right, you can also cause migraines as well.
Right.
Yeah, they always say it, trigger migraines.
Yeah, so flashing lights can also trigger migraines.
I've been there.
Disney put this notice out to theaters out of an abundance of caution. Again, this is only 3% of people are going to be,
well, 3% of epileptic people can have seizures over it. But I'm going to tell you it's a larger percentage of people can have migraines because I get migraines from it.
Well, you just had migraines the other day.
Right, but I ended up in the emergency room because it was an actual photosensitive situation where it set me off into migraines. Anyway, go ahead.
So they said, we recommend that you provide at your venue box office and online and other appropriate places where your customers will see it, a notice containing the following information. Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker contains several sequences with imagery and sustained flashing lights that may affect those who are susceptible to photosensitive epilepsy or have other photosensitivities.
Right, and I think that's smart that they're doing this. Spoiler alert, we're going to get lots of flashing lights. But it's smart that they're putting these warnings out because they didn't with Incredibles 2. And then they went and backpedaled and put it out like a week later or something like that.
Yeah, this is after people complain because Incredibles 2 does have some sequences that are
it's very much so.
Yeah, especially the one corridor where she's fighting the bad guy and it's like black and white strobe light effect. Now, it's interesting, we talked about that when we got it on home video, when we got Incredibles 2 on Blu-ray or digital, wherever we bought it.
Digital.
It was digital. Squid King pointed out, they said that, he said that it doesn't look quite the same as it did in the theater, and he's right, because they actually edited that sequence. So
Squid King's a very smart boy.
He is a very smart boy, and this is a couple years ago, And they said they re-edited the Pixar film Incredibles 2 to ensure it passes a test around flashing lights and patterns. He said it was dulled down. It wasn't as intense as it was in the theater. And I remember...
It was really intense. We were there opening.
Yeah, and you know, I don't have the photosensitivity, but I was even having a hard time looking at the screen. I'm like, man, this is like really, in your face.
Yeah.
So I guess I just have to wonder if they had this complaint about Incredibles 2 and Disney had to edit the film, you know, to pass this test, why did they not do this with Rise of Skywalker?
That probably was the thing that no one was thinking about it. And then, like with Incredibles 2, until they put, and then, like, oh crap, someone probably pointed it out.
Yeah.
Because it's not something you really think about a lot of times. Even though Squid King, that was one of the first things he said when it came on. He's like, why is there not an epilepsy warning for this? Because it's a real thing. I mean, it's very rare, but it happens.
Yeah, so I guess they have something called a Harding box test. Epilepsy action advises that different people will be affected by lights at different flashes or flicker rates. Lights that flash or flicker between 60 and 25 times a second are most likely to trigger seizures, but some people are sensitive to rates as low as 3 or as high as 60 flickers a second. So, you know, it varies for different people. I heard a thing, there was a journalist, I guess, online that he was epileptic and people were sending him flashing. The guy kind of trolls people, as I understand.
I know, but that's not acceptable.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want anybody to get physically hurt, but people were actually saying him flashing strobe lights or
that's
whatever.
That's not cool. Don't do stuff
try
like that.
to knock him into a seizure. But this is not the most famous case of seizures being caused by flashing strobe lights.
Because this actually caused the seizure. Like, The Incredibles 2 was a warning. I don't think anything happened. It was to prevent it, and they're preemptively preventing it with Star Wars. This actually caused one, didn't it?
I think. It's been urban legend for years, and I was trying to figure out if it actually did. It was an episode featuring Porygon, and I think this episode has been, like, scrubbed from existence or heavily re-edited or something. But they actually called it, this was in 1997, they actually called it Pokemon Shock.
Okay.
So the episode
I do remember this.
Yeah, the episode caused widespread panic, and the show went on a 4-month hiatus, nearly getting canceled. They almost canceled, I didn't realize it was that bad. They almost canceled Pokemon over strobe warning, or over this strobing effect. I didn't know that. Years later, researchers discovered that the story may have become more dangerous than the episode itself. So it sounds like it wasn't as big of a deal. Yeah, it was the Porygon episode. It was the 38th episode of season 1. In the episode, the lead character Ash and the gang get transported inside a Pokemon transmitter machine to kind of a digital alternate universe. There they have to battle a character called Porygon, digital Pokemon, yada yada. After defeating Porygon, though, the team gets attacked by an antivirus program. Pikachu blasts the program with his Thunderbolt. So apparently Pikachu knocked people into a seizure. And I know people were saying what was Pikachu, the flashing effects on Pikachu. The dramatic moment is the climax of the episode. It's supposed to be a digital world. The animators wanted to play around a bit, so they used a technique known as Paka Paka, where 2 colors flash rapidly on the screen.
Oh, that wasn't smart.
So the rapid flashing of red and blue is pretty intense and a little disorienting to watch. I'm not going to run it in this video.
No.
The colors alternate at a rate of 12 flashes per second, etc. Yeah, I'm not running it in the video.
No.
There was one problem. Reports suggested that as many as 12,000 kids experienced dizziness, blurred vision, and convulsions.
So it sent them into migraines or seizures.
Yep. So they dug through the records and reports at the time, discovered an important fact. The timeline we all accepted, kids watched the episode at the same time and simultaneously experienced seizures, wasn't quite right. Lots of kids watched the show live, but a lot of them watched it the next day, and after news reports and schoolyard chatter spread the word of Pokemon Shock.
Right. So it was exaggerated, but some kids got... There were about 600 kids who genuinely did have headaches
600 kids. They said 12,000.
And breathing problems. So most likely, the biggest percentage of those kids probably had migraines, and then some of them probably did have seizures.
So he said that the wider phenomenon was not photosensitive epilepsy, but a condition known as mass hysteria. It's a real problem where people are under stress to the point where there's self-produced physical reactions. They're convinced by external influences that something will happen to them, and then it does. It said they're not faking it. It's not that they're imagining it. The symptoms are real. It's just that they're being caused by being exposed to other people exhibiting those symptoms. So a lot of kids that supposedly had seizures thought they were going to get seizures by watching.
But only like 600 kids actually legitimately had issues, which is still a lot of kids. I mean, that's a lot. But the majority of them probably had a migraine, because these kind of things will induce migraines. I can assure you 100% because I've been there multiple times. Anyway,
so just to get back on that conspiracy train, because we're talking
Why do we have to get on the conspiracy train?
Because every episode of Clownfish TV is another car in the conspiracy train.
Oh, yay.
So, no, I'm going to say, I'm trying to figure out what scene exactly could cause this. And going back to the rumors that...
I said it was multiple sequences.
Multiple sequences. So it could either be a lightsaber battle with flashing lights.
Could be that thing where you see Rey where she's Evil Rey. Could be that.
Evil Rey, because it's, you know...
Could be the Emperor and Lightning.
Well, okay. So that is one of the rumored spoilers coming from YouTubers like Doomcock and from Reddit, is that Rey could potentially use Force Lightning. You know, is there a big Force Lightning battle, and that's what causes this? So could Rey's Force powers be so great in this movie that it could actually physically harm people watching the movie?
Oh, she's so powerful she can physically harm
She's so powerful. This is Star Wars in 4D. Is it in 4D because Rey's powers are so phenomenal? She reaches through the screen and affects the audience in a very real and very dangerous way.
Well, they're trying to avoid that. That's hence they put up the warnings.
Yeah, it is kind of strange though. After they had the backlash with Incredibles 2, that they didn't I'm surprised with Disney.
Well, they are preemptively putting the warning out there.
Yeah,
you're surprised they still put the sequences in the movie. Well, it affects such a small percentage of people. They probably figured as long as you have the warning out there, we're covered. Because you're not going to want to, as much as they have riding on this film, they're not going to want to dull anything down because they're trying to get as much of the fandom back as they can. They're not going to want to cut that stuff out if it's really cool to watch because they're afraid, you know. So they'll just issue a warning and their butts are covered. But
well, they have
apparently it's multiple sequences.
Yeah, so it could be the lightsaber battle or whatever, lightning. But they have warnings like that on attractions too.
They do.
There's certain attractions.
So this is, I mean, I'm not going to bash them for this because this is something I think that was smart they're putting out ahead of time because they didn't do it with Incredibles 2 and they really needed to do it with Incredibles 2.
But once again, this becomes another negative news story associated with the movie.
I know, and then we're going to be yelled at because how can you be negative, even though I'm like, I think Disney was right to do this.
Yeah, it's coming from Hollywood Reporter. But yeah, so there we go.
Can I talk about something else that was funny? It's unrelated, but it's related.
Sure.
Unrelated, but somehow related. Because everybody's always talking about, you know, oh, if you don't like Star Wars, it's because you hate women. Star Wars is for women. The Force is female. I mean, newsflash, Star Wars has always been for women. Women have always liked Star Wars. This is nothing new. Even though they keep acting like they just invented women being strong, powerful characters and that women just now like Star Wars. I was out at Shop Disney today because I have a shopping problem. Anyway, when I went out there, I came up across this. Gifts for her, bling, jewelry, purses, which I'm not against. I like those things myself. But gifts for him, Baby Yoda.
Oh.
So I thought Star Wars was for everyone and Star Wars was for women and, you know, the Force is female. But no, Star Wars is for boys.
It should be gifts for them.
Right. It shouldn't be gender biased as it is. I just thought it was funny. I thought the irony amused me. I just wanted to point that out. I thought the irony was amusing.
Yeah, the irony here is that Disney should have had better.
I would wear that shirt while wearing the cool bracelets and bling and carrying a fancy purse, and that is true. Would I not?
You would. So Geeky has a Baby Yoda and a purse problem. So there will be Baby Yoda
my
purses.
Bracelet problems are worse.
There will be Baby Yoda purses and bracelets. I can guarantee it.
I'm sure you're right.
They will make all kinds of girly stuff with Baby Yoda, and there will be gifts for her.
I just thought it was funny. I mean, you know, I'm just poking fun at this point because I just thought it was ironic and a bit of hypocrisy, but I just thought it was kind of funny.
Well, so far Baby Yoda has not caused any ill effects.
No, there hasn't been seizures from Baby Yoda yet.
No, not yet. But you know,
now if you lick him, I can't promise you won't see things.
It's like licking a toad.
Well, he eats toads, so who knows?
He probably does. He probably oozes, secretes hallucinogenic.
Who knows?
Stuff. You know, you like this Star Wars, don't you? This Star Wars is good. Lick Baby Yoda again.
It's like, you know, people are like, I don't really like Star Wars. They throw Baby Yoda up and hold him up, and you're like, oh my god, I love it. And they're like, see.
Baby Yoda is the hypno-toad of Star Wars.
There you go. That's what it is.
He's gonna tell you that you still like Star Wars.
There's no way to look at Baby Yoda and not think he's adorable, but some people don't, and that's okay.
That's okay. You can be haters.
But anyway, the whole point of this video was that Disney has issued a seizure warning. If you're a person that might be sensitive to this, keep that in mind if you go to the movie, even though, who are we kidding? A lot of you listening to this already said you aren't going to the movie. But I'm just saying. But I'm just putting this out there. I think it was smart that they issued it because I thought it was a big mistake they did not issue it ahead of Incredibles 2. It is a real thing. Photosensitive migraines are a real thing as well. So.
All right, so we're gonna wrap this one up. Yep. That's another Star Wars hate video for today.
Even though it's just a fact-based video, but
it
go
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. All right, so we'll talk to you guys later.
Bye.
Hey guys, thanks for watching Clownfish TV. Please consider supporting the channel. Go to clownfishsupport.com. That's clownfishsupport.com. And if you want to join our community, go to clownfishtalk.com. That's clownfishtalk.com. Please subscribe. Ring the bell for notifications. We will talk to you next time.